where can we get your body to a point where, hey, you can actually tolerate a lot of these things? And not only tolerate, but actually do fairly well.
Living with autoimmunity doesn't mean settling for less. Inspired Living with Autoimmunity is the show for high achievers who want the energy and vitality to live fully, not just manage symptoms. With your host and autoimmune coach, Julie Houghton. It's time to take your power back.
Kyle, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, glad to be on.
I would love for you to share a bit of your journey. We were chatting before I hit record about having similar positions in life right now, but literally everybody I interview has some kind of a personal journey that brought them to functional medicine, longevity medicine. So share with us, please, because it's going to give us some really good, content for listeners, as I feel like your story directly applies to almost every listener we have.
So, it's kind of the classic like pain to purpose type deal. They talk about that a lot in functional medicine. I was I always lived a healthy lifestyle. When my friends in college were going out and drinking, I was not. I was an athlete. I was locked in. I was on the collegiate rowing team. I ate clean. I did all the things right. I slept 8-9 hours a night. All the things that you wouldn't expect a college kid to do.
Right.
And then despite all of that, my health just started to fall off a cliff. And I was like, what am I doing? Compared to my buddies who are going out and partying and not sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night and they're doing so much better than I am. What is going on? I was like, something's wrong. So I started going to doctors, doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. And I think I went to 6 or 7 of them. And half of them said I was making it up. Yeah. And half of them said they just couldn't find anything. And from there, I said, well, if people can't figure out what's going on with me, I'm going to have to figure it out.
Right.
So I went down the rabbit hole and I started reading books, Dave Asprey, and listening to podcasts, Ben Greenfield, and all these biohackers, right? I like the thought of optimization, you own your own biology. To me, that resonates.
Yeah.
And I ended up at one of Dave Asprey's conferences, the biohacking conference.
Wild. What year was this?
Say it was 2020.
Okay.
And it was pretty funny because at that point I am sick. I'm getting anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, joint pain, gut problems. I'm way overweight. Can't control gaining weight. I've got allergies. You name it. I had everything. And I go into this place and it's this weird, doesn't quite exist ethereal spot where everybody's friendly. And at one of these places, you can go up to a random stranger and hug them, and they would be like, "Nice to meet you."
I literally met one of my best friends in the lunch line at Dave's conference in 2026, and I'm an introvert. I don't talk to strangers, so it's real. It's a beautiful community.
It is just crazy. But while I was there, I ended up meeting this concierge physician. It was actually a group that, like I said, they pair a health coach with a concierge physician. And you get quarterly blood work, and then the physician tells you what to take and medications and that kind of stuff and supplements. And he balanced my hormones, which was the first big step for me. Is getting my testosterone back up to where it needed to be was a game changer. But it didn't solve all of my problems. I still had the allergies. I still had the gut problems. I still had the joint pain. At least the suicidal thoughts and the depression and anxiety is gone.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
And so he tells me to go down to this clinic down in South Florida. I go down there. He's like, go talk to my buddy. He's going to test you for heavy metals. And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I go down there, I test, and sure enough, I have mercury. He sends me to one of his other locations where I meet my now business partner, Dr. Benjamin Kosabevsky. Dr. K, recall, because Kosabevsky's a lot. And Dr. K treated me, and honestly, he saved my life. He pulled all the mercury out. We did some EVO treatments. We did a bunch of other stuff for mitochondria, and literally, like, one by one, my symptoms just dropped off. Boom, 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 just getting better and better and better and better.
Amazing.
During that time, I was kind of going through the tail end of the courses in my doctorate degree, and it was all about research. So I was in a doctorate degree for business, but when you get a doctorate degree, most of it's like how to read and interpret research.
Right.
It was very little about business. And so I took all that learning that I did about how to read and interpret and look at research, design, studies, and I just applied that to medical.
To your rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yes. That was my rabbit hole. And so I read so many papers, meta-analyses, everything there was to read on heavy metals, detox. And Dr. K was open-minded enough to listen to my suggestions. And, some things he was like, no. He's like, I like my license, you're not doing that.
Right.
Some things he was like, well, it's not going to hurt you, might as well try.
Yeah.
And so from there, like that kind of collaboration, we just became good friends. And after I got better, I told him, listen, dude, if you want to open your own place, like he called me up.
I'm your guy.
And then one day I got that call.
That's
And
great.
he was like, it's go time. So we opened Longevity Center FL, so down in West Palm Beach. And then
Nice.
about 6 months later, we opened Greenville, South Carolina, where I live. And then, we're aiming for further expansion this year.
Wow. Amazing. Big life directional shift there.
Yeah, I was in the construction industry.
Okay.
Family business was in construction, and my family always knew I wasn't going to stay in construction because to me it was just a house. It's just a widget. Like, it's just whatever. There's no passion.
Yeah.
But this is like, I connect with it.
Well, but there's so many parallels between, construction and the body and good foundations. Because just listening to your story, so many people would feel, even though you didn't get relief from all of your symptoms, just getting on hormone therapy helped. But thank goodness you were like, but why? Right? You're a young guy. Like, why did you need that? Why are we seeing so much of that now? And so did you pinpoint where your mercury toxicity had come?
Yeah. From my read on things, I got a little bit from everywhere.
Yeah.
My mom had a amalgam, so I'm sure I got some burden in the womb.
Sure. I told my daughter I don't charge her for that. All that mercury I gave her in the row, I charge.
That's fine. And then I got all the vaccines during the period that they were mixed with thimerosal, so it's a mercury adjunct. And then, I got really into bodybuilding in like high school, early college. I thought lean protein, that's the way to go, right? So cans of tuna, just cans, cans and cans of tuna. And the canned tuna is the worst.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I like that you point out, any one of those is a hit, right? But that's the thing about toxins is they accumulate. And so you didn't necessarily, it wasn't just the tuna, it wasn't just the vaccines, and it wasn't just mom's fault, but just this perfect storm. Did you have other toxicity issues as well?
So what we could find, I had a little bit of lead.
Okay.
I had some pesticides, like some glyphosate, stuff like that. For the most part, it was mercury.
Okay.
It was mercury, and I think because of how young, I think I was exposed to it from the vaccines and from my mom. I think a lot of that led to some hormonal changes in my pituitary system. It took a hit.
Yeah.
And so, I fixed almost every symptom, but I was not able to actually bring back my natural production of hormones. It's just
Gotcha.
something
Yeah.
that for me it wasn't going to happen. And I've accepted that, and I'm okay with it because I feel great on
You feel
testosterone.
great. Yeah. So thank
It's really not a
goodness.
problem.
Yeah. Well, and the body is remarkable and can heal. It doesn't mean every hit is going to be reversible. But when you've gone to, from such a deep place, as most listeners to have, with their autoimmunity, it's hard to untangle all of those things, the fatigue and the mood and the pain. It just takes a toll on daily life, especially when you don't know why. And so I love that you're, not only that, but and we need more healthy young men in this field too, really. I don't know, but it is about feeling well. Like that's the whole point, is like showing up as your best self. And then, whatever that looks like, if TRT helps you do that, then, thank goodness we have bioidenticals, you know. But yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing. So you are that classic example of, actually, they're not even classic, the unusual example of like even healthy in college, right? Like obviously always tried to take good care of your body with the information we had at the time. I caught the lean protein, I ate more boneless, skinless chicken breasts than you could possibly imagine. But for so many listeners, they're doing the things the books say to do, right? Like they're eating clean and they're exercising, but they're still struggling with that fatigue and that anxiety. I don't know how you separate the fatigue from the brain fog, but in your opinion, is toxins like the really big overlooked piece?
Yeah, so I would say, like, especially online and social media right now, there's this huge movement, and there's like this sector of the online people that are like, stop looking at all the complex stuff and look at your movement, your water, and your food, and clean those up,
What?
and you're going to be good to go. And while I do agree that for probably the slight majority that will fix most people, there's this other massive part
Yeah.
of the population that has some sort of thing that no matter how many steps you get per day, or how clean you eat, or how
Yeah.
purified your water is, it's not going to do it. And I do
Right.
think that toxins are really a huge part of that. And like, it's different for
Yeah.
every person. Like a great example is heavy metals.
Yeah.
My age group, plus and minus, maybe like minus 2 or 3 years and plus probably 10, 15. Mercury is a big one. You go to an older age bracket, lead's massive. You go to
Yeah.
a younger age bracket, aluminum pops
Hey,
up.
I'm old enough that we used to love it when a thermometer would break because the mercury was so fun to play with.
You plug your death.
I don't think that that's where my toxicity came from, but it sure didn't help the situation. But yeah, it is interesting. Right, because we switch, oh, well, aluminum's safer. Oh, until we find out it's not. So
And while
yeah, go ahead.
well, I do think like there are good switches, because if you look at toxicity levels, mercury versus aluminum,
Sure.
aluminum is less toxic, but it's still
Yeah,
toxic.
but you don't have to cook with it.
Yeah.
I will say my take on the eating well and moving well and drinking clean water is, don't go looking for the deep stuff if you haven't already addressed the foundations. So I'm going to give grace to some of those influencers who maybe are missing that part of it, of like, because people, we get it, you must get it too at your clinic, oh, I want peptides. And it's like, okay, but wait a minute. Yes. But right now, let's start with like your vitamin D stinks and your omegas are terrible. Let's get the foundation first, and then we can play with the fun, fancy stuff.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I probably do have a bit of a confirmation bias, because of a lot of patients that we see come through are like, are struggling, like really struggling.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that sometimes our patients don't have those foundations in place.
Right.
What happens is we start treatment, gives them enough energy to get those foundations locked in.
Yeah.
And then they can get the compound effect as you go. So I think everyone's a little different. Like for me, I don't think I would have made it through mercury detox if I did not have my hormone fixed.
Sure.
I probably would have just said, I can't take this. This is too much.
Yeah.
So like for me, getting testosterone fixed, my first testosterone test was 159 total.
Ouch. Mine's well higher than that. Ouch. Just out. Yeah. Amazing. You could like get up and do life, right? Really.
That's what the doctor said when he got my results back. He was like, and you work out, you have any motivation at all. I was like, I really push myself.
Yeah. But I do see it, it's, to your point of the kind of different generations dealing with maybe, more likelihood of different toxins. I do see across the board younger men and teenage boys even with testosterone lower than it should be. And so it's got a part of it, at least, has to be the toxins.
I 100% agree. I do think it's overlooked. I think by our estimations, I would say that probably a third of the population is dealing with some sort of toxic burden that is actively negatively affecting their life.
Yeah.
That's probably the number if it's not rooted in research.
Higher.
But
yeah.
But that's like active negative effects due to toxins. I would say it's probably a third of the population.
Yeah. And I think for me, it feels higher because I work with complex autoimmune patients. And so, there is a little bit of the seeing, the testing not only gives you the target, right, but also just getting that buy-in, especially for those of us that have been searching for answers, and then to finally see something of like, oh my gosh, okay, now if I work on that, I can move the needle. And I will second the having your hormones supported. I tease my husband all the time because, as somebody who's a coach, it's a slower process. It takes work, right? But yet getting your hormones addressed properly can be that it's like turning a light switch on and giving the person, like you said, either the energy or the motivation that they need to take the actions to heal.
For me, fixing my testosterone literally solved my mental health. Like in 1 week. It was a week.
Yeah. It's amazing,
and it was
right?
I dealt with all these mental health problems and they were all gone in 1 week.
Wow. That's amazing. And that underscores, but again, you were also working with practitioners who, and you yourself are smart enough to understand, like to ask, well, why, like, I feel better. Why was my testosterone so low? There's got to be more to that story.
It just didn't add up. It's like, I love a good lifestyle and I'm young and I'm a male. I should have good testosterone.
Yeah. So, it is so important. So you mentioned influencers, and it makes me, we're talking about toxins, and I always like to, I want to hear, I value your take on what that kind of detox process looks like, or should look like, because I cringe when I see all of these, cleanses and detoxes. And people don't know what toxins they're dealing with to start with, so what is your take on what that process should look like, or, what people tend to get wrong?
Oh yeah, you should definitely just buy all the marketing detox stuff and just take it all at one time. That's the key. No,
Do it.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. No, I 100% agree with you, like testing with everything. And why testing matters. If you don't know what you're targeting, if you don't know what you have, how are you going to know to detox it? You can't just take
Yeah.
activated charcoal and it's going to detox your entire body from everything you've ever been exposed to. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Your juice cleanse is going to do nothing.
It might make you really sick.
It might,
It
yeah.
might make you
And
feel terrible.
that's a great example. So like
Yeah.
chronic mercury patients, you start juicing cilantro. So that's a weak bond. It only has one bond to bind to mercuries. It weakly will stir it up in the body. You'll excrete a little bit. But for the most part, you've just moved it around. You'll just get really ill if you have a lot of mercury. You start drinking a bunch of cilantro.
Yeah.
But it's all that like natural wellness hike. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, I mean, maybe if you have a small amount of mercury and you're doing cilantro smoothies just to keep yourself optimized, sure, go for it.
Sure. Time and place.
No, until
Yeah.
you've tested.
Right.
So testing is everything, whether it's a total tox, whether it's a line panel, whether it's comprehensive blood work, whether it's heavy metal provocation, whatever,
Or all of them. Yeah.
Like, know what you have and then work with a guide. Work with a practitioner who knows what they're doing and can target your specific toxins with specific detox for those things.
Yeah.
It's like, if you were to give, for example, DMPS, which is a chelating agent for mercury, to someone who had glyphosate, it
Right.
wouldn't do anything.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
just throwing money away.
Yeah. And then there's some of us, listeners know, I call myself a collector. I came upon that as nicer than a junkyard. Because for me, it was mercury, it was lead, it was mold and mycotoxins. It was, literally like anything that doesn't support my health, my body decided we should just hold on to that forever. And like you, mine was cumulative, like I got sick years out of after some of my exposures. So it wasn't like, some people have like mycotoxin illness and they know it's from, I live in this place but a lot of times it starts in childhood, like you were saying, if not in utero. But so even if I knew those things and I was only going after one of them, like that wasn't going to solve my problems either. So, but I want to highlight and underscore for people because to me, you are safer doing nothing than mobilizing toxins and not being able to excrete them. And so that's those cleanses and the fads,
I would go so
That's what
far as
makes
to
them-
say
yeah,
that if you have not done any testing,
yeah,
don't buy anything online that says you can detox from it. Just
yeah,
don't.
right,
Save your money. I spent probably $50,000 before I got my mercury diagnosis. Supplements,
Stuff.
biohacking, tech,
yeah,
random stuff that all did relatively nothing for me.
right,
And the things that really moved the needle for me were chelation and TRT.
yeah,
So I spent dramatically less on my actual treatment I did on the stage, the years
Yeah.
leading up to it.
and hopefully, nobody's doing chelation and EBU without a practitioner involved or TRT, although I know people do, but not properly. And so that's the other thing too. I love that you say that because I do know so many people who look, I found functional medicine from biohacking. So I think we're wired fairly similarly, like we needed answers and we were finding a community where we could start to get some answers. But I'll take this supplement and I'll try that supplement. And, it seems less expensive at first than going to a practitioner who can actually help and getting the proper testing and getting the proper treatment. You could do that free. Like you said, you could spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars wasting money on stuff that's not helping you. And if you're lucky, won't hurt you versus deciding you want proper answers and having the right guidance and the right medical team.
I mean, a great example of this is like, we'll go back to all the marketing surrounding the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell, right? X supplement will turbocharge your mitochondria. Great. it very well might do that. But if the inputs that your mitochondria are running on are full of toxins, you are going to feel like trash
Yeah.
if you turbocharge your mitochondria.
Yeah. So amazing. So do you feel like everybody struggling with chronic conditions should get a toxin panel?
I think they should.
Okay.
I won't go so as far to say it's like they're the root of all evil type deal. But I will say that, like, if you are dealing with a chronic something or other, it's a good place to look.
Yeah.
Especially if it ends with a syndrome or is in the autoimmune category.
Yeah.
Because
or
if it ends with syndrome, they don't know what it is.
what? Yeah. Or, your labs look fine. Or what you were told and I was told and so many were told of like, maybe it's in your head. We don't know. Therefore, it must be a you problem. I will even take it one step further. I do believe, at least for this community with autoimmunity, that toxins are a component, period. So are there maybe other things, you can't, people ask me all the time, well, is it food or is it toxins? And I'm like, well, what you're calling food is toxic. For me, you can't totally separate them. Same with gut health. Like, if you're toxic, then we already know we have to heal gut. Like, so that it's not just, I'm guessing you didn't just do chelation and EBU.
No, I did a full bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
I
those
did
were
rounds those were the big movers. I tried methylene blue. I've tried procaine. I tried all kinds of supplementation. Some of the biggest things were the simplest things, right? Like you said, vitamin D.
Yeah. Vitamin D. Oh my gosh. Every
Vitamin
time I see somebody, it's kind of like I said, ouch with your TRT. When I see a vitamin D in the teens or the 20s, I physically, it hurts my body because I know how bad I felt when my vitamin D was that bad.
Oh. So things like that, I think moved the needle as well. I did a lot of ozone treatments, which I think helped me substantially. I actually did a lot of like PRP or biologics injections for stem cell injections for my knees, ankle,
And those are all
stuff.
really good things.
So it was kind of like I had to pick up the pieces. We started with mercury, moved into EBU, and then from there I was like, okay, well, the rest of these little things, how can we like knit this back together?
Yeah. Well, and that's how it goes. And that's where you take somebody who starts out with finally getting an answer for their chronic condition, fill in the blank, syndrome, whatever, to then they're hooked and they become, your most faithful longevity client, because all of a sudden it's like, I never thought I could feel this well. How well can I feel? What else can I do? How do I now move to true prevention now that I've taken care of those decades of feeling like crap? And it is.
With being on the flip side of being chronically ill, like that's the fun part.
Yes.
Like now I get to experiment with fun new peptides that hit the scene.
Right.
Right.
Now you can do the fun, shiny things because your foundations are supportive.
Get to pull the levers and like,
Yeah.
with the science that's out nowadays, like you want to lose weight? Okay. Like here's a stack. Boom. We'll lose weight. You want to gain muscle? Boom. Here's a stack. You want to do X, Y, and Z improve your brain health. Like you can do all of those things, but if you don't remove the interferences first, you're not going to get the results from this.
Yes. I love it. See, you're too young. I used to call it this. It's like a static on the TV from, with all of those inputs of chronic inflammation. And so you fix the one thing, but you can't tell, other than maybe hormones, because that you should be able to tell. But again, getting under to the why. Why was a healthy, fit, athletic young man? Why did he have low testosterone to begin with? And I totally agree. The mercury was. So I have to ask, because I feel like all of us have a unique journey, but I also feel like there's a kind of flow to our healing path, especially those of us that then are like, okay, I found what I'm going to do now for the rest of my life, or at least for this part of my life. Do you ever eat tuna? Okay. Not worth it for you.
So I actually tried a year or two ago. I went out with a buddy to a really nice sushi place. I was leaving. It was years ago, and it was like a big celebration we were having. And I said, you know what? This is like best top of the grade sushi. I'm going to get some tuna. And so, whatever they bring, I ate. Next morning, I woke up swooned over. Just didn't drink. Just like headache, light sensitivity, just like gut troubles. And I was like, never again. Never again.
Yeah. But see, your body told you, so you didn't have binders or chlorella or anything with your tuna. You just ate like a normal human. Yeah. And I love that, though, so much better than you just like self-prescribing that you should never eat tuna again because it was part of your problem to begin with. And like now it's why my favorite part of when we do elimination diets, the reintroduction is where the gold is, right? It's like, I don't know what your body is going to tell you is okay or not. I may have opinions in the back of my head, but I want people to feel, and now you can obviously feel like, okay, that's a no-go. You're never going to do that again. I can tell.
A great example of this on the flip side is mold.
Yeah.
When I went into a moldy environment previously, when I had the mercury, I would not be okay. Like, I'm talking brain fog in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was bad. Now when I go into a moldy environment, it doesn't really even affect me because the house that the mold lives in, the structure is gone. There are no biofilms. And I can stay for a week in a moldy resort, and I have no noticeable negative effects.
That's amazing. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I am definitely not there yet. But I can't swear how much of it is there's almost like a PTSD component for, and so if there's mold and that mildew smell, like I will be the first one to say, I don't know what's physiological and what is a stress response.
Oh, I think Dave Asprey actually said on one of his podcasts, he said half of the damage done to the body from mold poisoning is you freaking out about mold poisoning.
Yeah. Well, no, it's true, but it's a different kind of anxiety, because I've done consults with people where I can just tell by how they show up that there's mold involved. I know that sounds like a little woo-woo. But you can. It's different than, like there's all different kinds of anxiety. And I was laughing when you were talking about the mold in my head. I'm like, I get why Dave resonated with you as well, because it's those of us that have had a time of life that we were that sensitive, feel, it's lonely. Like you feel like you're the only one. And he sure started my healing journey. So I'll be forever grateful for what I learned in that first coaching program I did with him. So it's good. But I wanted to get to, we do tend to hold things really tightly once we're feeling well. And I do think it's important to let go and get that information from our bodies, and not, just because we couldn't do something 10 years ago or because that thing may have impacted us negatively doesn't mean it's a no-no forever. I know.
And
so
I think it's really important. Like, the goal is not to
be
cut
perfect
things out of your life. Yeah. And just stick to it forever.
Right.
Like, really, the goal is to increase resilience.
Yes.
Where can we get your body to a point where, hey, you can actually tolerate a lot of these things? And not only tolerate, but actually do fairly well.
Yeah.
Some things like tuna, for me, I tried. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Good. No. Because I know what my body does. So, it's I joke, like, I can do nightshades. I say like quarterly. I could probably get away with them more often, but I know what, I know they're driving inflammation. And so, but they also have good things, for me, like there's literally other fish in the sea. Of fish, smaller fish, but and and you live. I'm landlocked in Colorado, so it was like, okay, I don't know. But I appreciate you sharing honestly, because I do think that I'm totally agree with you that true wellness is resilient, and so it can take a really long time, but the goal is to always be reclaiming that resilience. Like you think of a little kid, a healthy little kid who, falls down and bounces up. And, that's our bodies are made to do that. It just, some of us took a lot of hits.
100% agree.
So we're at that point in the conversation where listeners are leaning in because they know I'm going to ask you for one step that they can take today to start to improve their health. And it could be from anything you want to pull from.
Okay. One step. I mean, I can take this 2 different ways. So I'm going to give you 2 steps. So I'm cheating. But one is free and one is paid.
Okay.
The free step is work on your foundations. So work on your air, your food, and your water. And if you improve those 3, chances are you're going to see some improvement. Most people will. So that's the kind of free step. You can do that relatively inexpensively with water filters, or you could just be particular, Clean 15, Dirty Dozen. You can look at those websites to find which fruits and vegetables you should or shouldn't get organic. And then the paid step, I would say work with a practitioner. Get onboarded, start now, get comprehensive lab work. At a minimum, get the lab work. Because if you start there, at least, even if there's nothing wrong with you, at least you have a baseline. If you do have some autoimmunity, that's the first step in figuring out what it might be. So find a practitioner who knows what they're doing and get onboarded.
Amazing. And where's the best place to find more Kyle if they're leaning in and they want to hear more from you?
Yeah, so you can check us out on our podcast, Longevity Unlocked. So it's myself and my business partner, Dr. Benjamin Kosowiecki, Dr. K. We talk about a bunch of topics, whether it be vegan or carnivore, or EVO or chelation or protein, all the things. On our podcast, we go deep in earlier episodes. We have like little skinner versions in later episodes. So Longevity Unlocked podcast, that's where to find us.
Awesome. Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your wisdom. And I'm so excited that because I know that people are drawn to different practitioners, different clinics, that, we all resonate better with certain people. And so for me, it's really exciting that not only have you reclaimed your health, but that, you're really deep into this world and committed to helping people. Because, there are a lot of people out there that have a similar story and that they were doing the right things and not getting the results. So really grateful.
Well, I was glad to have this time with you and speak to your audience.
Thank you. For everyone listening, remember you can get the show notes and transcripts by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired Living with Autoimmunity, hosted by Julie Houghton, your autoimmune coach. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone in your life who needs to hear it. For the complete show notes, links, transcripts, and everything discussed today, visit inspiredliving.show. You can also send in your questions there to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Remember, it's time to take your power back.